Rex, he's the extrovert. He just came right to my face and just said, "Hey Nathan, your hair is so curly, it looks like a manga character." And, have you ever read this manga? And I'm like, who is this guy?
Turns out no one is questioning and trying to adjust the socks knitting machine just because the machine has been set at a 120-degree angle forever.
What we do is we find smart ways to link the data in Shopify backend to the front end. How do we present them? How do we design the rules to show certain type of data on the front end?
Welcome to Add to Cart, Australia's leading e-commerce podcast that express delivers all you need to know in the fast-moving world of online retail. Here's your host, Bushy.
Welcome to another episode of Add to Cart. I'm Bushy and I'm joining you from the land of the terrible people, otherwise known as Brisbane, Australia. On Add to Cart, we welcome everyone to share and listen to e-commerce stories. The more diverse, the better. I want to especially welcome the traditional owners and the original storytellers of the land that we are on, our Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander listeners, to join us in our e-commerce conversations and our community. One of the best things about hosting Add to Cart is the education that I receive in the process. I've learned about work-life balance from Anthony Zachariah at Linktree, values from Julie Mathers at Flora and Fauna, and timing from Gabby Leibovich of Catch. I've even got a recipe for homemade bread from Adam Lindsay at Co. What a crew to learn from. Today's episode has more than its fair share of revelations from me to build on top of those. I learned today everything from textile weaving machinery settings, I've never been down that path before, to what it's like to work for one of Hollywood's most famous martial arts stuntmen. You will definitely know who I'm talking about. More on that later. My guests today are Nathan Yun and Rex Zhang, old friends and co-founders of Paire, Paire. Don't forget the E. It's a sock brand that's all about comfort and sustainability. The boys set about reinventing sock functionality to address frustrating experiences with smelly, sweaty, slippery foot underwear. Stay with me here. And the results have bagged them 5-star reviews, angel investment, and revenue that's doubling year on year. Their range has now expanded to include t-shirts, towels, and loungewear. In this chat, Nathan and Rex give us a fascinating window into the world of fabric technology, advice on how a Shopify site can be anything but standard, and some sobering insights from their lived experience as Asian Australian founders. And quickly, before we get into today's episode, if you are a tech provider, a service provider, or an agency in e-commerce and you want to jump on and sponsor Add to Cart in 2024, we now have our sponsorship packages open. We are limiting the 2024 sponsorship opportunities to 2 gold partners and 5 silver partners. If you want to know what those sponsorship packages look like, reach out to me directly, nathan@addtocart.com.au. So, let's get into it. Thanks to our partners, Shopify Plus and Signet, here's our conversation with Nathan Yun and Rex Zhang, co-founders of Paire. Nathan, Rex, welcome to Add to Cart.
Hi, Nathan. Thanks for having us.
Hey, Nathan.
Thank you for joining. Guys, we have you in 2 different locations at the moment. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from home.
In Melbourne?
Yeah, we're in Melbourne.
Yes, me too. Actually, the office where we started Paire, actually. So we start from this semi-home office. Yeah.
So Rex, are you more of the office one and Nathan, you're the work from home one?
Exactly. You got that right.
Yeah. I don't know how you get it, but yeah.
Now, guys, we briefly met, it would have been about 18 months ago now, I think. Maybe not even that long, maybe 12 months ago. And I remember you telling me about the Paire mission, which was really, really incredible. And the way you framed it was something along the lines of, you want to solve the problem of smelly, holey, hot, slippery socks. And I was like, geez, that's a big problem. It's been around a while. I mean, we've been wearing socks for a long time now as human beings. What made you think that you could solve the smelly, holey, hot, slippery sock problem?
I'll start with this one. So it was the start of the pandemic, 2020. I was walking around the block doing the 1 hour walk that you only get.
The time out allowed outside of the house.
Yeah. And I always wanted to start a business. And, me and Rex has been long-term business partners. So I've been thinking about business ideas for as long as I could remember. And during those walks, my sock just kept slipping off because I was wearing ankle socks or no-show socks. And I personally hike and surf and do a lot of running and stuff. I'm a really active person. So at the end of the day, my socks would always smell or overheat when I run a marathon. So it just kind of came naturally to me one day when my socks just slipped off again. And I was like, I'm having enough of this. What if we could just make one perfect sock that solves all these problems?
So while everyone is locked down in their homes, worried about COVID, worried about toilet paper, worried about staying healthy, you're worried about your socks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was just so annoying during the walk. So I'm usually the kind of person that would notice these little problems, and I just come up with a problem and a question. So I went to my friend Rex, I said we were business partners, and I just asked him, is there a possibility that we can just solve all these problems in one product and we just make one perfect sock? Does that sound like a legitimate business idea? And that's how we came up with the idea, really. And then, I'll let Rex take over the rest because he's usually the problem solver. I just ask him questions.
So you lobbed up the big problem and you went, Rex, you got an idea on how we solve that?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what happened. I was like, give me a perfect socks. I think socks is really not good enough. On the other side, I always see myself as a product person. I always get fascinated by beautiful craft goods and love digging into problems and solving them. So I thought, it's an interesting topic. And we dig into the issues and we find that's why. The reason why the sock is smelly is probably two things.
All right, before we get into that, Rex, are you as passionate about socks as Nathan is at this stage?
Not really. Not the socks. I mean, textile goods, yes, but not particular socks because my family background. So I was interested in mostly clothing, sort of thing. I was passionate about t-shirt though.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So two reasons.
Yeah, two reasons why your feet is smelly is probably one is because your feet is are sweating, and there are bacteria growing. So to solve these problems, basically, in a sustainable way, is basically actually combining wool and cotton. So wool is antibacterial and cotton is moisture wicking. It just sounds like a very simple and easy solution, but the reason why other brands are not doing it is because wool and cotton are very different fibers. So to combine them at a yarn level and getting the yarn thin enough to knit into socks is extremely difficult.
So I know nothing about fibers. So wool is, I'm assuming, pretty thick and a bit more fragile than cotton?
Wool is animal fiber and cotton is from plant. So when you're dyeing that two fibers, it's applying very, very different method. Okay. And also they have different length. So the fiber has one length and the merino wool has a different length.
Okay.
So if you want to combine that two fiber together, you have to find a matching length. So that's why it's very hard.
Okay.
Yeah, and another interesting find was the reason why Mason socks are slippery is simply because most of the socks are knitted at a 120-degree angle, but your feet is 90 degree.
Right.
Yeah. So, and turns out no one is questioning and trying to adjust the socks knitting machine just because the machine has been set at a 120-degree angle forever.
So why 120 degrees? Is that just a thing that is just industry-wide?
When the socks machine first came out, which is old generation of the socks, that's the easy way to operate. And also, when you knit the socks at 120 degree, the top and the bottom is aligned together. So you can flat lay your socks and it looks decent. But looks good, but doesn't feel good when you put them on. So when we developing Paire socks, we actually requested the factory to actually adjust the machine to different settings. So it's capable to knit a 90-degree socks. And also you need the new kind of a stabilizing method to make the socks 90 degree as well.
Had anyone asked them to do that before you?
I don't know. But the factory was like, okay, that's a weird request. We never had that. But luckily, they're good enough to helping us to develop the right product. Yep. So then, when the first batch of Paire socks came out, I love them. Everyone just loving them.
Okay. So it's a combination of the cotton and wool together, as well as the way that they are knitted together using that 90-degree angle rather than 120-degree. Any other design features that you've incorporated to solve that?
A lot. For example, seamless toe. Mm-hmm. So, there's an annoying seam on the top of the toe, right?
Yeah.
Again, it is because the most socks machine are designed to knit the socks at a whole. So it came out at one. It's a very most efficient way, cost-efficient way. But if you want to remove the seam, you actually have to get the socks into two parts and kind of have someone hand sewing two parts together.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's costs more time and it's a bit more expensive way to do it. But it does adding a little bit extra comfort to your feet. And also the height of the cushion, like how high the cushion goes, you can also adjust that to like a perfect length.
Okay.
So your feet have got enough cushioning, but not too annoying as well.
Wow. Who knew there was so much to socks?
Yeah, I didn't know. So thanks for Nathan to bring up the question.
And tell me about the first lot of socks that came through from the factory with those initial requests to where you are today. Has the design changed much since then?
I think we updated. I see our socks like, kind of Apple products. So we don't tell the customer. We upgrading the socks time by time. Try to refine the yarn, because the yarn we developed is quite unique and no one done it before. So we try to using a better material, better cotton, better wool, better method. And also we starting to touch up on the small things. For example, reduce the packaging and also adding a bit like a small size logo on the back of your heel. So that's like through customer request. They're like people starting getting like 20 pairs for the whole family and mixing them up in the washing machine. So we're like, okay, let's put a size tag on it.
Yeah. I love it. And you mentioned before that you were long-time business partners. What's your history together before Paire?
So we were actually friends since uni. We've been on the same debating team.
Cool.
That's how we met. First time we met, Rex, he's the extrovert. He just came right to my face and just said, "Hey, Nathan, your hair is so curly. It looks like a manga character." And have you ever read this manga? And I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah. I didn't know your name. I just go, hey dude, your hair.
Yeah. That was our first ever interaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, we became friends ever since.
And your hair's still curly.
Yeah, it's a natural curl. But yeah, I mean, we've been business partners since we graduated as well. We started different businesses before, and we also went on with our own career. We had different jobs on the way, and eventually, because we have really different skill set and we have almost very opposite personalities, that we felt that we could just work together really, really well. And that's how we decided to just keep doing businesses together.
Yeah, great. And Rex, I can see that you're passionate about the operation and the product side of the business. Nathan, what do you take care of?
So I take after most of the branding, marketing, tech, creative. How we differentiate our job is kind of like I look after all the intangible things and Rex look after all the tangible things.
Yeah, great.
My background comes from creative and branding.
I heard in your background as I was doing a bit of research, and I want to know if this is a furphy or not, that you were actually working with Jackie Chan.
Yes, that is true.
Really? I feel like that's the kind of thing that you would have thrown into an interview just because you were bored in an interview and you're like, I'll throw this in and see if they pick up on it.
Honestly, I got asked about Jackie Chan so many times in my life. It just kind of became not a big deal for me.
Good guy?
Yeah, I mean, he's all right.
Don't worry, I don't think he listens to this, so you might be all right.
Okay, I hope he doesn't. But yeah, he's a very serious person in reality.
Okay.
Very, very serious boss. Like almost a bit scary at times.
While the big supermarket chains dragged their feet to get rid of plastic bags and packaging, online grocery startup Good Groceries is leading the way by eliminating 100% of plastic packaging from all their fulfillment processes. But it doesn't stop there. They are one of the few retailers to achieve Climate Active certification as a carbon neutral operation. Each order is sent in Signet's shipping cartons, craft paper, and water-activated tape. No dodgy, long-life plastic bags here. If you're serious about sustainability, visit signet.net.au to browse the range and contact the team to find out how their packaging solutions can help your e-commerce business.
I was his assistant for a year. We traveled around together. I've been in investment meetings with him, funding for movies, script meetings, production sets, Cannes Film Festival.
Holy moly.
Everything. Yeah, I've been his assistant on a lot of occasions. It was a pretty good ride, fun ride.
Have you sent him any socks?
Nah, we're not that close. Really.
We're trying to get him a pair.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So obviously the business is called Paire, and I think the name makes sense, Paire. So a little bit fancy, not just your standard pair. Put an E on the end, and it sounds more international. You've now expanded, though, beyond socks into shirts, towels, underwear, and I can imagine that there's more on the cards there. You've been really known for socks, and your whole brand, your whole business name is Paire for socks. Is it hard for you to keep that differentiation in market and to be known for something when you start expanding the product range so fast?
So we did start with socks because we thought it was a good product to break into the market. There's so many problems to be solved. There's not one good sock brand. So we thought we'll bring one good product to the market and see if our business model works. But in reality, our business model is actually developing our own unique materials and solve very specific problems with garments. And the mission of Paire has always been solving fashion problems with more sustainable, more comfortable, and just better products. We're selling products that are not just sustainable. It's something that people actually want. We're really strong in functionality, really strong in comfort. And when we had the name Paire, it also stands for a pair of underwear. It's a pair of pants, a pair of PJs. It could be, your perfect pair of wardrobe. It's a perfect pair of you and the earth, etc. So, when we had the brand in mind, we weren't tied on just socks. We always wanted to expand. We always wanted to use Rex's knowledge and technology to develop products that are just good in general, good for the earth and good for yourself. So we weren't that worried about losing our identity. We did a survey probably 1 year into launching Paire, and we asked our customers, what do you want us to launch next as a product? Interestingly enough, actually quite a lot of customers said, whatever you launch, we'll buy. And at the time, we only launched socks. Yeah. But I guess that's how good the socks are. And people were like, I just trust you with your material and your design. You will do anything well. So that gave us a lot of confidence. So we went on and launched undies, t-shirts, towels, hoodies, sweatpants, loungewear, etc. So I guess that kind of answers. And for me, I just manage kind of the brand identity, where we're heading. But Rex is the real know-how. So he really champions the textile development and material science. And that's how we go into the strategy here.
And Rex, does that come with a pressure then? Because I could imagine that, you talked through the complexity of combining wool and cotton together, but there are a whole range of materials that are becoming more popular. We talked about bamboo. There's lots of other materials that are hitting the market that are talking to some of those same things around comfort, solving those old issues. Is combining wool and cotton enough of a differentiator to keep you relevant, or do you need to keep pushing forward in the innovation?
Actually, the textile industry is developing a lot every year. It's moving fast, but the react on the market is not improving fast enough. After decades, we still see most of our t-shirts are cotton t-shirts, right? So yes, there is pressure, but it's also interests me, what can we do better? So Paire's mission, as Nathan said, from day one was to balance the performance, comfort, and sustainability, right? So if you're looking at these three angles, you can actually always find something to improve. So for example, our t-shirt, right? Most t-shirt, as I say, that out there is either cotton for the softness or polyester for the performance. And cotton t-shirt has been here for decades. And I'm sure we have a better choice somewhere. So when we develop the new fabric, we developed for our own t-shirt range, which is Breeze Blend. We actually use the merino wool and eucalyptus tree fiber to achieve an even softer, more functional outcome. And at the same time, it's sustainable. So yeah, it is not easy to make, but after we develop the fabric, it actually turns out really, really good. And everyone just loving our t-shirt. Another example can be our underwear. So we find out that premium underwear does contain silk for the gusset. But what we use is called regenerated silk fiber, which is regenerated from silk cocoon. So when you take away the silk, the cocoon is wasted. And it actually have very similar functionality as silk. Mm-hmm. Smooth, breathable, and antibacterial. So what we do is, okay, let's improve that part, take the cocoon back, make that into a new fiber, new fabric, and make into our gusset. So, I think it's a better way for sustainability. Luckily, we have a very strong consulting group to supporting us. They are experts in different areas in textile industry and also engineers in probably top factories, frontline engineers. So they have the knowledge how to turn different fiber, how to make different fiber work together, and what should be the best outcome for certain product.
Gotcha. Because that was going to be my next question is how do you stay on top of it and how do you test all these different combinations, but you partner with specialists in the field who might know you and what you're trying to achieve and bring you some options for you to have a look through and have a play with. Is that right?
Yeah. So my family background is always textile. So my dad has been in textile for over 30 years. Textile technology is our table talks, and it's all what he and his friends talk about every day, daily, since I was a kid. So, this is new things came out. There's a new treatment of the wool. There's a new type of nylons coming out. Really exciting. And what we do is normally, so we have experts in different areas. So there's a lot of different areas in textile: wool, silk, cotton, synthetic fibers, knitting, dyeing. That's all different area, right? So we get consulting from each area, and when we decide we want to launch a certain product, we will list all the issues that we have for that particular product and bring to the experts, say, okay, let's say we want a perfect socks. What should we use? What should we do? And if we're getting very similar answer from all experts saying, okay, Rex, tell you what, if you can combine wool and cotton, that's a perfect fabric for the socks because ABC.
Okay.
Then the second question will be, can we make it? Is it possible? Sometimes it's possible, but probably not reasonable price point. And sometimes so we can try it. So I think those group of people are kind of underestimated somehow. Mm-hmm. So because their daily work is to produce cotton t-shirts, right? Cotton fabric. But they are not trained to do that. They're trained to develop more advanced fabrics.
Yep.
And to update what's out there in the market. So every time when I talk to them, I can see they are very passionate about trying new things because they want this opportunity as well to create something new and let Paire to test in the market and see if it does works or not.
Yeah.
So I think that's how we do development.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I saw that you've raised $2 million of angel investing, including from one of the friends on our show, Ethan Didiscalou from July Luggage. Tell me about that process because you're still a relatively young brand. How do you go about raising that level of angel investing in the early stages?
So it did took us a while to get to 2 million. Personally, I've known Richard, who is from July as well. I've known him as a friend for years. So we always had our catch-ups and stuff over the last couple of years. And when I had this idea, I also spoke to Richard and he was really interested. So, he spoke to Ethan and we had a few rounds of discussions. And, me and Rex, we really pitched the idea. We pitched the mission. We told them that there's this opportunity that we can just make garments and fashion better. It's not just another sustainable brand. It's also more functional and more comfortable. And we have all this knowledge of all the specialists in the textile world. They're quite intrigued. So they also introduced us to some of the other independent investors.
Right.
So, we started step by step. It wasn't like all at once, but we took our time. We spoke to different people. There was actually one very interesting story. One of the investors we had actually came in after we launched the brand and we launched our product. Rex can give you more context because we were doing our delivery rounds. In the first year, me and Rex would actually go out and deliver stuff. But that was Rex's delivery. Rex, would you like to tell the story?
Yes. I think that's Christmas delivery. Remember? And so we delivered to a parcel. And this gentleman opens the door. I was like, hey, I'm Rex from Paire. Like, Merry Christmas. It's a pair of socks. You were very well dressed, a good looking guy, and took the parcel and said, you don't look like a delivery person. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm actually the co-founder. Then we started a conversation. We had like a 15-minute chat about the product, what is Paire, why we do this sort of thing. And after a couple of days, we got a call from him saying, oh, Rex, that's the best socks ever. Do you need investment?
Wow.
So yeah.
And did you have any idea who that person was before you delivered?
No idea.
No, I think
no idea.
I don't think we had any idea.
But yeah,
it was just
now
a
become
customer.
our.
But apparently he really loved our product. He was wearing them every day. He loved it. He loved the concept of the brand as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what's the idea of angel investing for you guys, and how do you differ it to, say, a Series A round? Why did you go down the angel investing path rather than a more structured approach?
I think we wanted to prove the concept first. We wanted to prove that there is a product market first. To be very honest, we probably weren't confident enough at the very start of this business. It's just socks, right? Who knew? Who knew people would buy $24 socks and go crazy about them, right?
Yeah.
So we started off small, and we took a really step-by-step approach, as I said, and we just needed money to kind of get the project started, to do some initial rounds of marketing, and we do a lot of testing as well. Once we're ready, I guess, when we're ready to scale even faster, we will definitely look into a Series A round.
Gotcha. So $24 for a pair of socks. They're not cheap socks, but you've told us the science and the differentiators behind them in the lead up to this. What's the strategy then for new customer acquisition? What are the kind of messages that you lead with to have people justify spending $24 on a pair of socks from a brand they've never worn before?
Over the last 3 years, we've tested, I think, every possible angle about a pair of socks. The ones we love starting with the most, first is obviously the smelly socks.
Mm-hmm.
We were covered by a current affair last year, and we had a master of wine to smell our socks. So we had one group of runners. They will put one foot wearing a pair of socks and the other foot wearing their regular whatever running socks they wear. And at the end of a 5K run, the master of wine will come in and smell every single sock and rank the smelliness.
Rank is the right word.
Ranking them. And apparently, pair of socks were 80% less smellier than any other regular sock.
How nervous were you when he was going around sniffing the socks?
We were so nervous. We were like,
yes.
What if?
Yeah, we were like, what if?
What if? We were like, what if someone had a really, really smelly feed and it just ruins everything, right? But in the end, the result was good and that went viral for us. So smelly has always been one big angle. On the internet, on the Meta ads side, I think anti-slip has always been a good angle for us because our socks were designed at a 90-degree angle.
Yep.
So they don't slip like any other ankle socks. I think the softness of it as well, we have a cloud cushion. So a lot of people who have feet pain, a lot of athletes, they got this condition called plantar fasciitis. Our socks actually help with that condition a lot. And we had a lot of positive reviews saying that it helped with the pain, helped with the plantar fasciitis. So, we have very different angles that we can approach because our socks actually solve so many different problems in one tiny product. And that's our go-to-market strategy.
And is that your biggest issue, is converting customers for the first time? Because I could imagine that once customers have the product, see the value, see the longevity and the solution, then it becomes fairly easy. As you said before, people saying, got your socks, what else can you make? We'll support you.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first acquisition has always been the hardest for Paire, probably because of the price point.
Yep. Have you had those conversations about dropping the price point to get new customers?
We definitely had, but a lot of reasons behind why we didn't do it. The biggest reason being the materials are just so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I think our margin is already like way, way lower than any other sock brand out there. If you look at Kathmandu, Icebreaker, or any other like hiking brands who also sell merino wool socks, and their wool composition is around 60, 50% as well, same as us. They will sell their socks at $40, $50, even $60. And we're only selling at $24. So if you compare apples to apples, we are extremely cheap.
Yeah.
But it has been a bit hard to educate customers that why can't you wear this every day and you spend $24? Because customers have bonds in mind. But in reality, the material is probably worth $60.
And is wool hard to scale? So as you get more and more customers and more orders, is it easy to get your hands on more wool?
You mean getting the wool?
Yeah, getting the wool.
Nah, we got enough sheep.
This is just me being a dumb material guy.
It depends on we're making socks. So one nice sheep can produce, I think, a lot of socks for us already.
So wool's just expensive because it's fiddlier to make with?
No, let's say, putting it that way, I think wool and wool can be very, very, very different.
Okay.
Even merino wool and the micro lens is very, very different. And so to knit into our socks, you need certain length. You need to be long enough. Otherwise, as I mentioned, you have to be matching the cotton length, right? So to get that part of the wool is not cheap.
Okay.
It's not cheap. But yeah, in terms of quantity, I think we're still small brands. There's definitely other brands. Let's say with the wool we use is normally making very premium coats or something like that. But like one Max Mara coat probably can make hundreds of pair of socks, I would say.
Gotcha. Okay. So we don't have a wool problem. It's more that you use a specific part or type of wool and the length that's required that makes it expensive. Tell me about the website, because you do have a beautiful website. It is so well designed, I think, and it doesn't look like, when I look at it, I know you're a Shopify e-commerce store, but it doesn't look like a templated Shopify store. You've obviously put a lot of effort into design and creating something that is unique. Tell me about the design process that you've taken on there and how much of it is custom versus kind of off-the-shelf templates.
It's pretty much completely custom. To answer in short,
yep.
We did approach the design of the website with a lot of effort. We worked with a local brand agency called Love and Money.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty established, I guess, in the design world. And we worked on the branding with them. They had the initial round of design for the website, but I worked on it after that and added a bunch of things. We did a lot of A/B tests. We do a lot of crow tests internally. And I've been trying to balance the, I guess, functionality, conversion rate, performance of the website with aesthetics on the other side. And we work with a tech agency at the same time to build out the very custom codes and templates ourselves. We don't really use any off-the-shelf templates with our Shopify theme.
Amazing. Yeah. It's a big call for a relatively young brand. Was there any non-negotiables for you as you're briefing in your agency that you went, the design has to have this because I'm sick of seeing the same old on every other website. I want this.
There definitely was. I think the first version of our website, we had a really unique homepage, which we don't use anymore now. But that was a non-negotiable design that we really wanted because, as you said, the main reason of going fully custom is because we don't want to look like any other Shopify store anymore. And anyone who works in the industry like you, they will tell us like, hey, how did you build your website? Like, it doesn't look like a Shopify store. And I'll tell them it's actually Shopify. They will always be shocked. But, we find ways to get around it. And we manage our site speed with very, I would say, detailed work in the codes. We try to find smart ways to get around it. But at the end of the day, it's still Shopify because Shopify still gives us the most flexibility with different apps. But it's a balance between tech efficiency and what you want to achieve as a website.
Does it create many unexpected issues when there are so many new features dropping or updates dropping regularly?
From Shopify?
From Shopify, or maybe some of your app partners or integration partners?
Sometimes it does, but that's the benefit of staying Shopify native, I'll say, which is even though it's a fully custom theme, but it's only the front end part. A lot of the core functions are still coming from Shopify itself, like the checkout and the product backend and stuff. What we do is we find smart ways to link the data in Shopify backend to the front end. How do we present them? How do we design the rules to show certain type of data on the front end? So whenever Shopify makes an update, we already have a dynamic logic that can kind of present it properly on the front end as well. So it doesn't really break anything. The tricky part always comes in the integration. When we first want to integrate something, we need to do a quick custom build in, but that doesn't take much time.
Yeah, okay. You just got to build that into your process.
Yeah, it's been pretty standard for us anyways.
Yeah.
It's not going to take a full day.
I noticed that you've got Shopify one-page checkout enabled. It's a relatively new feature from Shopify. Have you noticed anything at all in terms of the change between the old checkout and the new checkout?
To be honest, very honest, we haven't really noticed any uptick in the checkout to conversion rate. Yeah, I looked at the numbers as well. Didn't really make a strong impact.
I've heard that from a couple of retailers lately, is that they're happy enough with it, like happy it's there, but it hasn't had huge impacts to conversion rates.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, you could imagine that there's a huge amount of science and data that's gone into designing that. I always say to retailers is you're going to have a very bloody good reason why you choose to have a custom checkout when Shopify are using all the data from all those retailers to create what they think is the best checkout experience for a customer to increase conversion rates. So you can imagine there's a lot of science that's gone into the back of it, but it doesn't seem to have shifted a lot of customer behavior yet.
Yeah, not yet. It's fairly new as well. Maybe we'll need to give it a bit more time.
It's the calm before the storm. And unlike George Clooney in The Perfect Storm, spoiler alert, Shopify wants retailers to come out not just alive, but thriving, because it's a big deal, especially here in Australia. Last year, Australian merchants ranked third globally in Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales volume. What an opportunity. So if you want to maximize your share of the peak sales this year, use this time before the storm to download and read Shopify's peak season playbook. They've got 10 experts, including me, to share their tips on how to maximize sales at this time. So put on your life jacket and get your hands on Shopify's free peak season playbook. Download it at shopify.com/plus/guides/peak sales season 2023, or just follow the links in the episode show notes from the device you are on. Land ahoy. Can we talk about your product photography? Because it is extraordinary. I mean, you are you talked about how hard it is to take photos of socks before when we were talking about materials and the angles of the 120-degree angles. You've got some pretty random images in there. We're talking like socks with apples on tops with knives through the apples, socks in wine glasses, books open with fruit in them. What is going on with your product photography?
Inspired by Jackie Chan.
What was that?
Inspired by Jackie Chan. That was a joke. Nah.
Don't come for royalties, Jackie.
As you know, like sock is such a basic and boring product. I have to say, it's been so hard finding creative ways and different ways to present them. And as you know, we don't want to be perceived as just another sock brand using a Shopify theme. We had to look different. We had to look unique. And as you know, I come from a creative background myself, coming from the film industry and branding. I really enjoy working with different creatives and creators myself. So I love working with people I already admire, like super talented people in Melbourne, in Collingwood, Fitzroy. We know a lot of friends. And I always love to work with them and just give them complete freedom. So I will go to one of the creators in Melbourne and I say, I'll give you complete freedom. Just do whatever you want. Do whatever you think is cool, fancy, do your own style. and we'll put it on our website. I guess that's why some of the images will be a bit random.
Yep.
But obviously we do give a general brand guideline. We don't want anything too crazy. But overall, we love giving creators complete freedom and just do their thing, because working with local people is the best. Like you get to talk face to face, and everything comes from Melbourne. It's just so much fun doing all these projects.
And is it mainly through your own creative network rather than using creator marketplaces or influencers to bring on board?
We do a mix of different things. So we definitely do use creator marketplaces, and we also work with influencers, and we work with established photographers and stylists through our network, or just people we see. Some of the people I work with, I just always admire their work because we're both in Melbourne, and I've been following their work for years. And I would just send them a DM and say, hey, we have this brand. Would you like to work on it?
Yeah, great. Now, you mentioned before around that you do have a loyal customer base, and that once people get to experience the product for the first time, it becomes a bit easier to get them to repeat order the second, third, fourth time. I noticed there that you've got a loyalty program, which is a points-based loyalty program, which isn't just based on purchases, but also behaviors. So such as you could earn points by sharing on Facebook, leaving a review, following you on Instagram, referring a friend. Have you done any analysis on how people earn points in that loyalty program, and what kind of behaviors are really easy to help encourage or incentivize using that system?
Yeah, totally. The highest engaged action, I think, was follow Instagram.
Okay.
A lot of people who recently signed up to the loyalty program will just follow Instagram right away and gain a few more points. I mean, second one is follow Facebook. So
Okay.
I guess these are really simple actions that doesn't really break anything for them.
Yeah. And then do you find people are redeeming a lot of those points? Is the point-based system working for you?
Yeah, it definitely is. So we've put the loyalty program into our email flow, a post-purchase email flow. So we encourage them to go and sign up for the loyalty program. And it does consistently bring us a stream of revenue through the loyalty program.
Yeah.
It's been pretty helpful, I would say.
Yeah, great. Now, a bit of a personal question, if you don't mind, and tell me to fod off if you don't want to answer it. But I was this week speaking to a couple of young Asian founders here in Brisbane who run a very successful e-commerce and wholesale operation in a very blokey industry. And we got talking about how they felt that within that industry, they didn't get taken very seriously or treated like other, let's say, traditional white males in that industry. You guys are young, you guys Asian background. Do you come across any of that kind of not getting taken the same as other people or not getting taken seriously?
That's a very interesting question. Thanks for asking it, by the way, Nathan. Really appreciate it, because I think that's definitely true. Unfortunately, again, I think both Rex and I felt that there's a constant need to work harder as Asian founders to get approval from other business parties or collaborators or industry people. They tend to not take you as serious as a non-Asian founder, let's say. There's a lot of small examples, like, I guess it's a very unconscious bias or, subtle racism, I guess, that goes on. Sometimes we'll go to conferences and it's a lot harder for us to break ice. It's a lot harder to really have a conversation with people. They tend to just gather in their own group and, comfort zone rather than talking to us. I'll say they might pronounce your names wrong. They might just forget about you, etc. It's a lot harder to pitch as well, I'll say. I think a lot of small little things builds up to this general feeling. When we want to talk to, I guess, other businesses to collaborate or to work with trade parties, I feel like business numbers speak a lot more than who we are. We have to prove that our business numbers. So, for example, some other brands out there, they might have fifth of our revenue, but people will take them a lot more serious. But we need to kind of deliver 5 times the revenue to say, like, hey, we're actually a legit business. we're not just two Asian guys coming out trying to, I mean, Rex will probably have more experience to share because he works on the wholesale side.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm working on the wholesale side. Actually, I consider myself as a pretty good salesman, but probably not many people know. But before Paire, I was #1 sales consultant, BMW sales consultant in Australia. Wow. Yeah. So I sold a lot of cars before that. Yeah. So I was always confident in selling stuff. But when we start wholesale, knock on the doors, it's quite hard. Mm-hmm. Got more no's than I expected, I would say. Yeah, I don't want to think that's probably a race thing, but then we changed different person in a different phase to approach probably very similar stores or things like that. And immediately it improved the result. Really? Just skill-wise, I don't think I can lose to any salesman. Yeah. But it's actually happened. So yeah, I think as Nathan said, we have to show doubling the number to get probably the similar result, the similar attention. So that's the reality. So, we just need to work harder, I think.
That must be exhausting.
Yeah. A little bit, but it's a fact, and we have to deal with it, right? And we're starting a business here. Then if they need to see doubling the number, then let's just triple the number and show them.
And it's a reality. Sometimes it is a bit discouraging. Like Rex is Australian citizen. I was born here, and at heart we are Australians. But still, sometimes the industry doesn't see us like that. We're probably not as Australian as they think. But another interesting thing we also notice is like a lot of ethical brands and sustainable brands, they like to post about their relationship with their Chinese factories. It's a very, very good thing they do. I love the transparent approach to it. They go and have dinners with the makers, they bond with the makers, but because they have, let's say, a white face, it's somehow a lot more legit. That it looks more legit. But when we show Rex having dinners with the makers, it just looks like a family dinner. And people will just think, oh, you are one of the Chinese makers. Right? They will think Rex is just one of the Chinese factories coming direct to Australian market. So we can't really use that transparent approach in that sense, because people will actually comment under our post and say, oh, this is another low quality made in China product. This is, get out of Australia, etc. Like we will actually get these comments on Facebook and Instagram, which is very, very sad to see. And at a point, like we can't use this transparent approach, which other ethical brands are doing. It's very, very sad. Like we try to do it a lot of times.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the fact is I probably know more about the supply chain, more what right way to do things, what's wrong, because I just know that maybe better. Sadly,
guys,
the reality is like that.
I'm really thankful that you brought that perspective and were so open with that. So thank you for that. I didn't realize the impact that it had from just being included in industry through to the impact on sales through to the messages that you can put out there. So thank you for bringing that. Tell me about the future. We were talking before. I know that you've got some international expansion on the cards and some retail happening. What are you most excited about in the next 12 months?
So the biggest project that we're most excited about is the QV pop-up in Melbourne. So we're launching a QV pop-up store in November this year, 2023. So please pop in if you're in Melbourne.
There's a few other things that happen in November for e-commerce. Is there a reason you put it all into there?
Oh, we really want to catch the Black Friday and the Boxing Day traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
add a little bit more workload into that busy time.
Exactly. We're running sales. But we always wanted that retail touch point, I have to say, because as you can imagine, our materials are so unique that people almost have to touch it to be converted as a long-term loyal customer. So that retail piece has been always missing. We actually have office in South Melbourne, and sometimes customers walk in because they see the sign of Paire outside. They walk in, and the word we hear the most in that walk-in office is wow. Every customer who touched the material for the first time will say wow. We just hear that every day. And that's how different our materials are. And that also gave us the confidence to say, hey, let's launch an offline retail store. Let's give the opportunity to all customers around Melbourne to have their hands on our materials and to really experience that.
I could imagine that you guys too wouldn't settle for the standard retail experience. Where have you spent most of your time to try and reimagine how that retail experience would work?
I actually did a lot of research on this one. I went around Paris, pretty much went into every retail store and kind of noted down the experience I had, because we don't want to. I mean, I was on a work trip anyway, so
all I'm hearing is tax write-off.
And I feel like Australian retail industry is so far behind. Our stores, it's very conversion driven. It's not really experience driven. So we kind of wanted to change that. The Paire store will have a very different tactile experience. Everything you touch, everything you feel, you would actually be really drawn into the space. What we really want to create is a social space that you would actually want to hang out in. You can meet your friends here. You can stay around, touch a few materials, touch the fabrics, feel good about it. And, it's just a good space to hang out in rather than trying to sell products to you in your face. It's going to be a pretty chilled environment, just like Paire, very comfortable.
I was going to say, have you had some good conversations and got some good tips from your friends Richard and Nathan over at July after they've rolled out their stores?
Yeah, definitely. They introduced us to their builders as well. So we're pretty confident that we'll have the same level of quality as their store. And, our store is not far off from them anyway. It's in QV. It's between July, Aesop, and Off-White. So,
what a dangerous precinct to spend some money.
Yeah. What's the other advice they give us is open more just.
Yeah, okay. It's funny. Who was I commenting on the other day? I think LSKD just posted their 8th store, and it feels like they're only opening their first one a few months ago. Oz Hair and Beauty now up to 4 or 5, and I know that's been relatively new for them. So it can happen very fast, right?
Yeah. Everything at Paire, we always start with the test. We have a very growth hacking mindset. That's why we start with the pop-up. In the next 4 months, if it works, if we show the ROI, then we'll definitely keep rolling out new stores. We'll do permanent stores, etc.
Great. And US and the UK, plans to expand there?
Yeah, we're definitely planning to expand US, UK over the next 12 months. But we'll probably go online first, starting with Meta ads. And we'll manage the dispatch from Melbourne first, DHL Express, just to test it out first.
Yep,
everything starts from a test.
Yeah, great. Guys, thank you for sharing everything that you've shared today. We've covered a lot of ground. I learned a lot about materials. Thanks, Rex. Your experiences, plans for the future. If people want to learn more or get their hands on one of these $24 pairs of socks, which with all the benefits, what's the best way for them to go about it?
Please check out our website, paire.com.au. It's Paire, or follow us on Instagram at Paire, Paire as well. Or, find us at QV in the next 4 months in Melbourne.
Man, how good.
Drop by.
I'll be dropping by. Rex, Nathan, thank you for joining us on Add to Cart.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks for having us.
When I was originally chatting to the boys about coming on to Add to Cart, I said, what do you really want to talk about? And they were like, I really think our manufacturing process and our fabric technology is really interesting. And I was like, yeah, I think it'd be worth a couple of questions. But I was drawn in so much into how they're doing in terms of even down to what angle they are creating their socks when they are stitching them together. I learned a lot. I think it was fascinating. So thank you to them both for sharing their journey so far. Here are 3 lessons that I took from that chat with Rex and Nathan. Number 1, don't be afraid to let experts do their job. That's why you've employed them after all. Paire's unique product photography is a result of photographers being allowed the creative freedom to shine and do their thing. And as you can see on the website, it creates so much energy and interest by allowing those different personalities and creative styles to shine through. Number 2, just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't mean that's the best way to do it. Questioning the status quo can lead to breakthroughs, and in Paire's case, led to a machine changing its settings and socks that didn't slip. Who knew that by changing the angle of how it's stitched together could revolutionize socks? And number 3, Paire isn't a standard brand, but they do have a Shopify website. But they have shown that you don't have to have a templated Shopify store. They've put a lot of effort into creating an experience that stands out and really brings their brand to life. Just because you're a Shopify store and there are some beautiful templates available and you can often spot them straight away when you come across them, doesn't mean you have to settle for that. Work out what's important to you. And if it is really important that you stand out and you have something that's totally unique for you, you can still do that. Thanks for joining us today on Add to Cart. To listen to all our e-commerce conversations, now in the hundreds, you can head on over to addtocart.com.au. There, you can also join up to our free private Slack community to share e-commerce ideas, tips, and questions with other listeners. You can also subscribe to the Add to Cart weekly newsletter and browse some of the video highlights from our chats. There is a lot there. That's addtocart.com.au. And if I can ask you one thing before you go, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you share it with a friend or a colleague who could benefit, or leave us a review. It really makes a difference. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep those customers adding to cart.